we've come across this, and it is the longest tunnel in Europe. It's 24.5 kilometres long. Now, we've been through a few tunnels in Norway. I think probably well over 100 by now. I think there's over 1,000. But this is the longest one. So we're going to go take you through that. Going through the tunnel. I've done it as a time lapse. You'll notice the blue bits in the tunnel. They are apparently rest areas. I hope you enjoyed that. Longest tunnel in Europe. Or, as I've just been corrected by my lovely assistant,
Hi.
the longest tunnel in the world. So now, don't know what's going to happen now. We'll wing it. Much like most of this holiday's been. We've had a very vague plan, and we'll see where we end up now. And we do have an appointment with a ferry in a few days' time, so I think we're going to be heading south. So we'll pick you back home when we get somewhere else.
Hello.
Hi.
You are also here for the guided tour?
Yes.
Yes.
Where are you from?
UK.
Yeah, so English works very well with you.
Yes.
Very well.
Yeah. Refers to the Viking age as the golden age of the sheep farmers, because wool was so incredibly important to the Vikings. Just to give a quick example, if you want to make a sail for a Viking ship about the size of the Oseberg, you need the wool of 200 of these guys.
Wow.
And then you have to spend a total of 9 years getting this big pile of wool into a sail. Because first you have to wash it, then you have to comb it out, then you have to spin it to thread. Then this thread has to be wetted and spun around something called a nitty-notty to stop it from curling back on itself. And when you've done all this with all 200 sheep, you have a little bit over 300,000 meters of thread that then has to be woven into a sail. They are old Norwegian short-tailed landrace, so they are pretty close to the sheep that the Vikings actually had. And they are also interesting in that they have 2 layers of wool. They have a rough outer wool that is good to make sails and that sort of things from. And they have a softer inner wool that is good to make clothes from. And another thing, I don't know if it is just these two or if it is all Norwegian short-tails, but they really hate dogs. So every time they see a dog, they will try to headbutt it. And it's particularly funny if it's a sheepdog, because then the dog will try to corral the sheep and the sheep will try to murder the dog. So they are just chasing each other around in circles. Yeah, they had their hair cut about 2 weeks ago. Wow. And this is the wool we got off them. Madderroot doesn't grow naturally in Norway, so you have to import it. And in addition, the process is temperature sensitive. So if it gets a little bit too hot, it turns brown instead. But if you take it out at exactly the right temperature, 55 degrees centigrade, you get this nice red color. And then you also have to remember that the thermometer in the Viking age looked like this. So you have a big pot of urine, throw in some wood, leave it out in the sun for 2 to 3 weeks until it smells really, really bad, and now you can add the wool. And again you have to heat it up very carefully, because if it gets too hot, it turns green instead. But if you take it out at exactly the right temperature, 70 degrees centigrade, it's still green while it's in the pot, but as soon as you take it out, it will react with oxygen in the air and turn blue. And this will kind of look like magic to the people watching. And at the very bottom, you have the thralls. And the thrall is the same as a slave. And around here in the western part of Norway, they would mostly be from Northern England, Ireland, or Scotland. And when you live like that, you live on a small farm with your extended family, maybe 1 or 2 friends who hasn't gotten their own farms yet, and a little handful of these thralls or slaves, at least I think it would be in your best interest to treat them kind of decent. Because there will be weapons and tools lying around, and at some point you have to go to sleep. And it's always a good idea to have a strategy where waking up the next morning is more likely than the alternative. We also have reason to believe that some women in the Viking Age may have fought as warriors. There are finds of women in so-called weapons graves. That is, they are buried with weapons and shields. And we've known for a long time that some of the people buried this way are most likely women, because you can see some differences in the bone structure with anthropology. But in 2017, DNA technology was finally good enough to take samples and confirm this. So we can now say with absolute certainty that at least some women in the Viking Age were buried as warriors, and then they probably also lived as warriors. The first one here is Thor. Thor is the god of thunder and strength. And we know that he was a popular god in the Viking Age because in pre-Christian graves they keep finding this little hammer of Thor amulets. And Thor, the way that he is portrayed in the mythology, he seems like a nice guy. He likes humans, tries to protect them. He might have some minor anger management issues, and he is not the sharpest tool in the shed. Because every time Thor is confronted with a problem too complicated to solve just by smashing it with his hammer, he needs the help of one of the smarter gods. Usually Freya, Loki, or his father, Odin. Odin, in addition to being the leader of the gods, is also the god of wisdom, war, death, and magic, among other things. And then in the middle here, we have Njord. Njord is the god of sea travel, trade, prosperity, good luck, and weather. And he is not really as famous as the other gods around him. So the reason we have given him the place of honor in the middle is that he might have been particularly important right here back in the Viking Age. And the reason for this is that the name of the fjord out there doesn't really make any sense. It's called Nærøyfjord. Directly translated from modern Norwegian, that's Nær Island Fjord in one word. And it makes no sense because there are no islands anywhere close to it. So maybe the original name in Old Norse was something like Njardarfjord, Njord's fjord. And if the fjord was named after the god of sea travel and trade, that might be an indication that there was a trading port of some sort somewhere around here in the Viking Age. And this also kind of makes sense, because we know they produced quite a lot of iron up at Voss. And if they wanted that down to the sea to sell it anywhere, then Gudvangen is a good place to do it. But as far as I know, there are no archaeological evidence for this theory. And then we have Njord's 2 children, who are both a lot more famous than he is. Freya, the goddess of love and fertility, and her brother Frey, the god of virility and fertility. And every time I have small children on this tour, I'm always tempted to say that he is the god of cranes. So I don't have to explain what this thing is.
That's the end of our Norway adventure. As you can see behind me, we are leaving Norway. It's been an absolutely epic trip, and I would thoroughly recommend anybody coming. We've had just over 2 weeks, and we've gone from Nordkapp down to Kristiansand. It's been an epic road trip. Let's take a final farewell at Norway. We will be back at some point, hopefully with more time. I'd like to thank you all for watching the videos. So we'll see you later.